And a good midday to you on this Friday warm afternoon. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. This is our current picture at large right now for this outlook period. And the main thing, the feature to look at here is the upper level feature that's located over southern Hudson Bay, James Bay, Canada. And it is forcing the jet stream further off to the south and also producing some pretty good winds aloft and some shear. That's going to interact with this weak frontal boundary that's going to try to work on it in tonight. It's a kind of a system that typically out of season, a little bit more anomalous, and so consequently the models are having a little bit more of a tougher time with it. But there could be some showers and maybe some isolated thunderstorms that could tap in to some fairly strong wind shear aloft around 40 knots. All of that's going to be timed out during the overnight period. That's going to take away any kind of intensity. So we're not going to work with convective available potential energy, but more synoptic dynamics aloft with this particular system. There could be one or two thunderstorms, however, that is strong. Utilities should continue to monitor the situation. Now, the rest of the time, we're looking at this weather system pushing in much drier air, and so that's going to set up basically for us for most of Saturday, all day Sunday, and it looks like all day on Monday as well, Independence Day. Beyond that, the next weather system to drop in will be one that will feature kind of an Alberta Clipper-like system, working in on some pretty good west-northwesterly winds. That's going to bring in some cooler conditions, but also a shot of what could be some potentially moderate to locally heavy rainfall across our region. And there could be some embedded thunderstorms in the mix of that, and that would be along about Tuesday. That'll be followed by drier weather on Wednesday to end the outlook period. Looking at the incrementals, we have the European on the left-hand side, and we have the GFS. These are the deterministic models, both. And so GFS, here's our frontal boundary. European, here's our frontal boundary. And this is going to be a little bit of a jet stream energy. It's going to pick up and try to produce a band of showers that are going to try to roll in tonight. Maybe some isolated thunderstorms in the mix here. This is the GFS, a little more heftier in the amounts indicated here. And this is the European model, a little less, and I'm going with the European model simply because it has a little higher skill. I don't think this is going to be a terribly active night, but one or two of these thunderstorms could get out of hand and produce a little bit of wind, and those winds may exceed 40 miles per hour as we have 40 knot shear to work with. However, all of that taking place during the morning hours, the early morning hours on Saturday, and roughly about 3 to 4 hours after dawn, all of this is going to be pushed out and weakening until it resets up across southern parts of New England. Now, we're looking at good weather starting really about Saturday mid-morning. That's going to continue into Sunday and then into also Monday, the 4th of July, with drier weather, thanks to a little bit of a ridge of higher pressure kind of shooting off into the Great Lakes and connected up with the Bermuda High here, or the Azores High. Continuing looking at the modeling into Monday, this is Independence Day. We see this weather system here. This is going to be coming at us from the west-northwest, and it's going to affect us along about Tuesday. This is the way it's shaping up. Arrival time looks like in the morning hours, and then it kind of works on through. That's a pretty hefty amount of precipitation. These are 6-hour amounts, so you can see that kind of move on through. And we're looking at maybe some moderate to briefly heavy rainfall associated with that band of showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms in the mix there. We'll have to watch that as well. But right now, the cooler weather probably is going to keep thunderstorms at bay. Beyond that, things do settle out a little bit. We still got this west to northwesterly wind, and when you see 500 or 5,400 meter thicknesses up here, the 540 line, that blue line right there, that's cold enough to actually produce some snow. So very chilly temperatures and some high latitude blockings taking place, and that's the main weather scenario here, and I'll show you that in a second. But meanwhile, going up into Thursday and beyond, into Friday, you can see that our next weather may start to creep up the Appalachians at that point in time, long ways out. Real quickly, so this is the United States. If you can bear with me here, this is Vermont. You're looking at the top of the pole, straight down from the pole, the North Pole, the polar vortex. And I talk about high latitude blocking and what that does. So we have some high latitude blocking here, and it's really not going anywhere. It's almost a fixture right now, and it is kind of an omega block, if you can see that kind of that Greek letter omega. And typically either side of that, you're going to have some storminess, and certainly in the Gulf of or west of looks like the Bering Straits, and then back up down into, I should say, Hudson Bay, and that's that upper low. So it's putting the squeeze play on our weather and generally bringing cooler than normal conditions into our neck of the woods. So as I run the model here, you can see that not a whole lot is changing. And that's going to be the name of the game over the next several days. This is the GFS Ensemble centered on the grid point of Montpelier, Vermont. And you can see the GFS Ensemble is picking up on the precipitation that's going to be arriving for basically during the overnight period. This is valid about 8 o'clock, so this is roughly mostly after midnight, and it's that small period a little bit into the early morning hours or mid-morning hours tomorrow, Saturday. And then we clear things out, some good dry weather, and then it sets up again and so on and so forth. Looking at the total amount of quantitative precipitation, we're only talking about 3 to 4 tenths. The latest blue line here, that is the deterministic model of the GFS, says a little bit more, over about a ½ inch, maybe 6/10 of an inch, and so on. Our next weather system then arrives, it looks like down the road a piece. This would be basically along about Tuesday, and then beyond that, not a whole lot to see. This is 850 millibar hectopascal temperatures, and what you can see here is the warmest during the day today on this Friday, certainly, with temperatures predicted at surface anywhere from the upper 80s to about 90. And you can see that it's trending downward. Coolest weather will be along about Tuesday, and then we kind of level things out a little bit. Not a lot of convective available potential energy, or CAPE, and you can see that we're under basically 500 joules per kilogram. Not a big deal here. But you overlay that with shear, and this becomes the problem for the overnight period. There's some pretty good winds aloft, quite a bit of wind. Thanks to that squeeze play of that area of low pressure to the north in Hudson Bay, it's really giving us a lot of high winds aloft. The jet stream's very active and very close by, so consequently we're looking at 40-45 knots, and that's why we have to watch any thunderstorm development over the course of the next several days with high-speed shear. Quantitative precipitation forecast by the Weather Prediction Center for the next 7 days shows about a ½ inch in our neck of the woods here. A little less to the north, a little bit more to the south through this particular area here. Let's switch over to temperature now. Not a lot to see here. Our warmest day is certainly today with an anomalous warmth. We're going to see temperatures approach 90 degrees. Heat indices somewhere between 88, 89 to about 94 degrees. Dew points could be a lot higher for this time of year, but they're not, and it's the saving grace there. So overall, day 1 through 5, meteorological output statistics, or MOS, running pretty neutral to about -3. And about 3 days later, it looks like this. Still not a lot of change, neutral to -3. And we have Tropical Storm Bonnie. It's going to be taking a track toward the Nicaraguan and Costa Rican border, and then probably dump out into the Pacific and then take a track up the coast. Not a problem for eastern portions of North America. And the European Ensemble, which does such a good job. This is our Bonnie here, and the track of Bonnie will look like this. And it's out to sea in the Pacific. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.